Hey, today I'm here with Arke Aeronautics, Brandon Graham, CEO, Jonathan Penera, CFO, and Sherman Hartman, CTO. So let's get right into it. So let's talk about the company and what got you started.
Sure. So ARC is a public safety platform that connects first responders to enhanced 911 information before they arrive on scene. And just to give a little color to why that's such an important problem to solve, the 700,000 people that dialed 911 in the past 24 hours, they waited 9 minutes on average for help to arrive. So reducing the national average response time by just 1 minute could save 10,000 lives this year. And this is a problem that all three of the founders of ARC have lived in their real lives. Sherman, I don't know if you have any stories that might create kind of just an example as to one of the experiences that we've lived that was kind of an inspiration for this.
Yeah, sure. I'm an EMT and firefighter. There was a call that I was involved in on New Jersey Route 55 where it was dispatched as a motor vehicle crash with no other information. It was on one of the more remote areas of 55, so it took probably about 12 to 13 minutes for the first emergency unit to get there. Once the emergency unit arrived, they realized that there was about a dozen patients, two of them entrapped in this vehicle, one of them trapped under the vehicle, and I think three more ejected from the vehicle. When they got on scene, the report they gave to the dispatch was to send every unit that they had available. In the end, they had to wait 12 additional minutes to dispatch about a dozen more ambulances, three paramedic units, and two helicopters, along with whatever fire department resources they needed, delaying the response of those pieces of equipment by about 15 minutes additional to the original response. So ARC would allow for first responders to have a visual of the scene minutes after dispatch instead of 12, reducing the response time for more appropriate resources.
When you applied to Launch Lane, what were y'all hoping to get out of the accelerator?
Well, one of the big focuses for ARC has been shifting from R&D now that we have a base foundation for our platform and a really good understanding, actually, thanks to Sherman's experience as an actual first responder and how to cater to their needs, and more towards the commercialization side, which is really one of the biggest focuses of LaunchLane, is helping early stage companies commercialize their technology. And so for us, that's really what this accelerator is all about. That being said, there's a lot of other things that have just been really great value propositions to us in terms of what being a part of this community means. Penera, I know you had a lot of thoughts on this. I'm not sure if you want to chime in here.
Yeah, sure. So we were also looking to network and connect with other like-minded Philadelphia startups. It was also good to figure out how to gain a better understanding of the Philly startup ecosystem. Again, we also wanted to receive some validation of our company through the program, and also mostly for accountability. Again, even though we have our day-to-day jobs through ARC, it's good to have someone, punch you in the arm and remind you, hey, you have to do this and that just to, get the company going. So again, we're looking to get a lot out of this accelerator.
How have the company's priorities shifted as a result of the pandemic?
Yeah, so even before COVID, I mean, most of our work was already pretty much remote. So thankfully, we've already developed a best practice. So there isn't really much of a transition. But again, we still had to work on other strategies on every work because, again, now we can't meet face-to-face. We have to now use more emails and, utilize more video chats. And even though the pandemic did close a lot of huge opportunities, again, it opened some new ones. So for the most part, we can easily connect with other people, again, through the video calls and through the email. So because we're forced to use those resources, again, it's just ironically easier to connect with more people in a given day.
And how do you all stay connected as a team through this process, throughout all this these changes, working from home and everything? How have you been handling that?
Well, like John alluded to, ARC for the majority of our life has been doing a lot of remote development and remote project management. So we had those best practices in place, but we use tools like Slack and video conferences. I mean, we basically live our work life on a on a video conference between founders, doing our founders huddles, and our development team, who have just done a fantastic job. But really, it comes down to not letting things be out of sight, out of mind, and making sure that everybody has a clear understanding of what our North Star looks like and staying focused. So, keeping all of that in mind, I think our team has done a fantastic job of maintaining that momentum, and those best practices, like Jonathan mentioned, and we really just continue to do that before and after the COVID impact has happened.
So right now, with I guess with Launchly also being virtual, how do you each feel about that? We can start. We'll start up. Well, what's up top for me is Jonathan. What are your thoughts on your experience so far with a virtual accelerator?
Yeah, again, I miss the face-to-face connections that we had the first 2 weeks, but even then, the convenience of being able to all connect at the same time. Again, one of the teams in our cohort, she's in LA, and she probably wouldn't be able to reach out and attend these meetings every week. So it somehow just, again, ironically, made it easier for some of the aspects of the accelerator to just work. I'm sure a lot of the creativity that we could have experienced being in the same room and talking amongst each other and not having to, wait your turn and, you can have multiple conversations in a room. We'd miss that. But again, it somehow just works. Again, it has a lot of its pluses and minuses, and it's just been working out so far.
Yeah, I think that you just touched on something that the most frustrating thing for me has been is when you go to a virtual event now at a conference or whatnot, you can't just step aside with someone and have a conversation. You end up just getting pushed into the next session. And it's a little bit awkward to me. I know some organizations have gone out of their way to add breakout rooms to these virtual events, but that's been probably one of the most awkward things, to go to like a 50 plus, 100 plus event virtually and not be able to have a side conversation, just feel pushed in. How about you, Sherman?
I mean, I have to agree with John a lot. It saves us a lot of travel time since we're in New Jersey and we have to come over to Philly to meet in person. So it's nice to be able to just meet with people in front of the computer, be able to drop what we were in the middle of and jump on a meeting, and then once we're done, we can go back to what we were doing, or just relax for the day. I don't have to worry about commuting back and forth.
Yeah, no commute is also really nice. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I was just going to say, people get really good at things when they find value in it. And one of those things, obviously, people have spent careers doing networking in person, and now these tips and tricks and best practices are coming out for how to network over video conferences. And one of the things that I think is just absolutely crucial is you need to take the initiative, do your research on who you're talking to, and then send them a personalized message in the chat, and get their contact info and say, hey, can we take this offline, or one of those things. And I think in terms of my experience, just making the most of these virtual meetings, I think people are extremely receptive to that. Even just today, we were on a separate call with another cohort of an accelerator that we're in. And I was able to basically make a connection to a potential customer for us, and was able to speak with them for half an hour after the meeting. So, they're like everything, COVID and virtual meetings have created challenges, but they've also created opportunities for new ways to interact.
Yeah, definitely. I think that for one of the examples I've been giving a lot of people is when you pitch online, when you pitch live online, you have a lot more eyes on you than you would in a regular small room pitch session, and you never know who's in that session. Every week when we do our pitch sessions with Venture Cafe, you never know. I'm always surprised, and it seems to be more and more people showing up every week. There's almost always an investor or two in the chat, which is cool. And I feel like if you were limited to space and time, you wouldn't have access to so many new people right now. And I keep telling people I hope more investors just come to Philly and work here. It'd be great if we didn't have to try to drag people here. But I feel like as more companies like Ark emerges, it just makes Philadelphia a more exciting place for investors to be and to visit. So I think that's really cool, the work you're doing. And I was in the Air Force. I don't know if you all know that. And I used to work with flight planning, and my job was actually in the area of emergency flight planning and things like that. So from the first time I saw the pitch and the things y'all are working on, I was really impressed. And I think it's just cool, anybody doing anything with technology and drones, because we need more people out here doing these things. It is really really important. There are so many examples of why. Um, how how has COVID-19 impacted your business? Um, has it had any direct impacts on your business?
Well, I can say we're in the same boat as most everyone else. There's so much uncertainty right now, and it makes it very difficult to predict the future. So what we as a team are all trying to do is to continue to focus, down on our mission, be resilient, and really, stay in lockstep with each other, our team, and definitely our customer base as well.
And if anything, what would you say you've learned from this experience? Brandon, let's start with you.
Um, Before COVID, a lot of our work was already remote, like we've said. So, most of this is really just reaping the benefits of having good best practices for remote work before the pandemic hit. I think probably a lesson learned is ask for help. There are so many people out there, especially for a concept like this, uh, where our entire mission is centered around bringing people help faster and protecting those bringing that help. Um, with people are willing to give of their time, their network, and their experience to help us make that into a reality. So I think more and more, especially now that it's easy to just ping somebody on Slack or email or text, that goes a long way, and that's really helped us kind of advance our mission, especially over the past 2 months, where it's easy to look at what's going on and feel a little down, but to see that energy and see the situation bringing out the best in our medical first responders and first responders in general. Really, it's been good to see.
Any personal learnings for you guys?
I think for me, in the past 2 months into the pandemic, it's just proven to me how resilient the human spirit is. Like, people are always finding ways to innovate, cope, and adapt. Again, I think in general, just people are actually stronger than they think they are. They get into a situation, they think that their expectations are in such a way that they may not think they'll get out of it. But again, people just find a way. Again, we just see that every day, whether you just watch it on TV or again you experience it in your own day-to-day life. It just surprises me, and again, it's not, we're not in the best situation, but again, I feel that people are finding ways to make things work, and it'll just get better from here.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, resiliency is everything, and I've been doing COVID-19 focused episodes on the Parallax podcast that I record, and resiliency has been one of the things that comes up almost every week when I talk to someone, because I think that that's what we all have to lean into, and especially as entrepreneurs, I think resiliency is one of those natural things that we all carry with us. We all have that ability to kind of bounce back, and I think that if anything, every day I'm learning more and more how important resiliency is. And if there is a way for people like us that are in entrepreneurship to teach others, um, I guess it's just having conversations about it is a good start. How about you, Sherman? Anything you've learned going through this?
I got to agree with everything that John and Brandon said. We were unintentionally pretty well prepared for everything that's happened. And being in the emergency healthcare field has been an interesting experience, to say the least, during COVID. Um, yeah, it's definitely been interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a crazy time. Has ARC been able to apply for any of the current grant or loan opportunities that are out there?
So we've attempted to apply to one. Again, we were denied based on a technicality. Again, I'm sure there were other variables that we probably would have hit if it wasn't just for the first technicality that we hit. So again, at this point, I think we're still in good standing financially, and at least from a project management side. So I think we've been pretty lucky. But again, even as a life raft, again, in this situation, I think we're still doing pretty good, well, all things considered.
Yeah, it is really a challenge for a lot of earlier stage companies to get access to the grants and loans that are out there right now. There's always some small technicality that's stopping people from getting through. So I'm hoping that other types of funding become available over time. And I encourage everybody to keep an eye out for some of these grants coming out from nonprofit, some of the larger nonprofit organizations and foundations that are out there. You'd be surprised. They're from the interviews I'm doing on the other side with people in foundations about how they're getting their money out to businesses. It's been really interesting to hear them really cut ties to a lot of the due diligence that they were doing prior to, because it's more important right now to get the money into the hands of the people who need it than it is to sit and go through all the paperwork. And unfortunately, a lot of the federal grants can't afford to completely cut ties to due diligence. And so the ones that we hear about the most often are the ones that are the hardest to get because of the weird technicalities. But I do think that there are some really interesting organizations like LISC. I've seen like that they keep posting grant opportunities, and a lot of other companies too. Encourage all of you to check those out sometime as well. And what are you most looking forward to when the world is safe for us to reemerge from our homes? Let's start with you, Sherman.
So, obviously, I'm the CTO for ARC, so I do a lot of work with our technology. And because of COVID, we've pretty much had to stop flight testing, with our team. And I'm very much looking forward to get back to doing, regular every other day flight tests with our team and getting our drones back in the air.
Yeah, it will be nice to be back around people again. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I share a similar sentiment with Sherman. I think on the positive side of this, we had just before this really broke, we had just completed a very successful flight demonstration with a potential client whom I can't share who they were, but it was a fantastic opportunity and it went really, really well. And after that, we kind of confirmed our hardware technology, and we really shifted focus intentionally to developing our software and platform side of things in order to prepare that for commercialization into the market. So, in a lot of ways, we really did inadvertently prepare ourselves very well for what was coming. We had just closed out a huge project, and that gave us the opportunity to be intentional right up front and choose to work on what we could make the most impact on given the circumstances. And that just happened to be building our platform, which is exactly what we needed to do in the first place. So, once that platform is built, obviously now the next goal and challenge and experience is going to be meshing both of those together. And that's kind of really where Sherman and I excel. He handles a lot of the hardware and the software integration. And I'm really the platform side of things, managing our front end developers and full stack engineers that help make sure that the brains, if you will, of what makes ARC such a powerful tool for first responders can talk to our hardware and our robotic systems.
How about you, Jonathan? What are you looking forward to do when we can get out of these houses?
Yeah, so me, it's a bit more simple. It'd be great to hang out with my team again out in a happy hour at a bar somewhere and connect in other ways that, are ARC related. And we can chat about personal lives and, just enjoy our presence. So again, simpler things like that. So I'm hoping for, connecting in that way again.
Yeah, it's the basic things sometimes. I think it's been really, really tough for me to stay focused with working from home. uh, I've been trying to first I tried to get into VR and just to make myself feel like I was going outdoors. Then I started actually going into my front yard and backyard and doing all this work. And I'll do anything basically to procrastinate being in this house. Like anything I can do to get away from being inside, I'm going to do it. I have a million plant children uh, in my living room, and now like they're just overflowing on my porch and into my backyard. They're pretty much everywhere. Plants are taking over my house. But then in some other ways, strangely enough, I'm also very focused on my work. When I try to I try to find balance between the time, but being stuck in my house and doing all of these things has really been difficult for me personally. One of the reasons why I started working in co-working spaces in the first place is because I hate being alone, and I hate like not being like seeing other people. Something about seeing other people and being around other people really helps me to stay inspired by the work that I do. Uh, so it's the simple things for me too. But I feel like I can never stop like procrastinating and working. It's like a weird, endless cycle of work and procrastination. Um,
Well, yeah, it's
and
an important
sorry, go
thing to
ahead.
break up. It's an important thing that you bring up is maintaining a healthy lifestyle in addition to just trying to be as productive as possible, and finding a work life balance. I think is more of a challenge when your work and your life happen largely in the same area. I know for me, I'm a musician, so being able to kind of separate that and take a pause from life and be able to kind of express what I'm feeling in that way, and also exercise, getting outside, just kind of slowing down and working out has really helped me kind of blow off a lot of the steam that comes with running a startup. So it's important, and I think the last thing that all of the all three of the founders of Arc I think really understand is being able to maintain a positive energy, because with these startups you have days where you're like sky high, you're on a 90-degree incline, blasting off, and then some days something happens and it's not even that bad, but it just makes you feel like you're going straight down. So being able to have that positive energy and maintain it, to keep you more even keeled. I think that's the goal for all of us, and we really do balance each other out in that way. So it's been really great.
Yeah, I would say that that is one of the biggest benefits of having a team. You really get to lean into working with each other. And I remember I don't like working alone. I've always preferred to work with either a co-founder or a group of collaborators on anything I do. Even if I have ownership over something, I almost always am trying to find other people to work with on my projects. And I think that that's a huge plus for you all to have each other. And it's funny because I talked to one of my last calls was with Taiwana, the founder of the Orvac, and we talked a little bit about being a solo founder and what it's like to be a solo founder, and then be able to come into an accelerator and have other people that you can tap into. And I want to say I'm going to give you credit, Brandon, because when you're in our weekly calls, you almost always chime in to give your 2 cents to somebody when when the floor is open. And I think that that's just a really great leadership trait to be able to do that. So it's just it's nice to know that there are people who are taking part in accelerators and not just super hyper focused on themselves, but also thinking about what they can give, what they can bring to the table as well to the program. And I think everybody in Launch Lane does that for each other. But Brandon, you always do stand out to me in those calls, and I think that's a great trait. So keep
Well,
moving on
thanks.
that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess I'm really curious. I don't know how y'all want to answer this as a company or individually, because this is a hard one for me to break up. What is your superpower? Think about that one. I
I'll
know
give
it's
this one if you want, Brandon.
Yeah, go for it,
You,
Sherman.
So,
Yeah.
Arke Aeronautics superpower is to empower the real superheroes to better perform their duties every day.
that's actually a pretty good one. That was slick. Did you just come up with that? Check you out.
No, I
Right
came
on.
up with it
Right
yesterday.
on.
On the Google Doc.
I think Yeah, no, it's. I mean, that is so true, right? I mean, the people who are putting themselves on the line, uh, they don't often get taken care of as well as they take care of other people. So it's really important to be thinking about how to make the work that first responders do more efficient. Actually, my roommate all through college was a firefighter. Um, I was in the Air Force. He was in the Army. I believe he was in the Army, and he was a firefighter in the Army, and then he went on and he was a firefighter, still a firefighter on base, just working through a contract, and it was really difficult to know that he was going out every day and having to go into situations that we didn't know if he was going to come home okay. And he sometimes he would do 3 days on and 2 days off, and so it was at times like living alone. It's already enough stress in your life to be a first responder or to have them surrounding you. So it's nice when you can really think about how to make more effective ways of getting the job done, safer as well.
Yeah, and I mean, initially, it sounds just slightly cliche to talk about people as superheroes, but I think we really all do see that first responders are truly a real life example of superheroes, and I think sometimes people forget that until they're dialing 911, and I think COVID and the situation that's been created from it, although terrible, it's reminded everyone of the sacrifices that first responders make every day, running into buildings to save people that they've never met, um, and that is something that I think we as a company and as a community want to hold on to coming out of this.
Yeah, and I think it's just really important work. So thanks for doing what you do, and I can't wait to see what comes out next from your team. How can people learn about ARC, and also how can people help?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing for us is we want to talk to as many first responders and hear from you about your stories and the pain points that you feel every day. That way we can better develop our product for you. The other thing is if you know anybody who, if you're somebody who knows first responders, spread the word, tell them that, a solution's coming, and, go find us and connect with us. We'll put our company information in the wherever you find this video, but you can go find us at www.arkaeronautics.com.
Awesome, and thanks so much for being with me, Jonathan, Brandon, Sherman. Really appreciate y'all working with me on this too, because bouncing between bouncing between three people is a challenge when you've never done it before. So thanks for making this experience easy for me as well, and thanks for being a part of Launch Lane.
You as
Thank
well.
you. You
Yeah,
as well.
thank you so much for doing this. This has
You
been
too.
great.